How y'all doing? We here with Mr. Ryan Stowe, one of the most successful lawyers in Salisbury, North Carolina. Great man. If you ever need his services, go ahead and reach out to him ASAP. Okay. You done tuned in to DP Level Up. We're going to ask him a couple questions on how he changed his life. How did he become the most successful man that I know of today? So we're going to give him a rundown. So we're going to start off with asking you, what is the three most important things you would want people to know before they start a business?
Great question.
Yeah, I know it, right?
So the first thing is you can't just be good at whatever it is you do. So if you want to start a bakery, you can't just be good at like making cakes and pastries. That's number one important, but you also have to learn marketing. You have to learn the business structure. You have to learn taxes. You have to learn how to advertise. You have to figure out who your demographics are. And so sometimes people, they think that because I'm good at providing the service that I am good at running a business. And those two things are not synonymous. So that's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing is, find someone in your industry, multiple people if you can, who have succeeded or people who have failed, or preferably a mix of both. And that way you can not repeat mistakes that you don't have to. Most people will be glad to help you in their industry. A lot of people really don't view people as competition if you're starting out in that business. So definitely do that. And then the third thing I would say is figure out what makes you different from everyone else. So at our firm, we say we are client-centered, and we mean that. And so we make sure that everything that we do benefits the client. So we make sure that we over-communicate, we over-explain. We have a lot of internal systems and software that makes clients' lives easier, and in turn will make our lives easier. So we try to answer every single question someone might have up front so that they don't have to ever have any anxiety or worry about it. So figure out what makes you different. Another small thing that we like to say that makes ourselves different is that we are a customer service company that just so happens to practice law. So we don't view ourselves as just a law firm. We're a Fortune 500 company. We provide customer service, and it just so happens that it's legal.
Yeah. And you know, the beauty of that is, like you said, you being a service to people. And by our experience watching other people be successful, is they always find their best way to be the greatest service to others. So do you believe the ones that's highly successful is also the ones serving the most?
I do. So actually, one of my favorite quotes is, in life, you can have everything you want as long as you help enough people get what they want. And that's 1,000% true. So in our industry, people don't want to go to jail. So we help them not go to jail.
That's right.
And in turn, we're getting what we want, which is success or income or money, referrals, things like that. Or people don't want their insurance to go up. So we fight their traffic tickets, and therefore they get more business, more repeat, that kind of thing. Or it could just be that someone's going through a difficult time. They don't want to have anxiety. They don't want stress. We help remove those things. And in turn, it comes back to us what we actually want.
Okay. Now you heard that coming from the man. He got almost 1,000 reviews on Google, all 5-star. You understand what I'm saying? So when he says something, you got to listen. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the next question. Okay. Who were you before you was a lawyer?
Interesting question. So it's weird now, but most of my professional life, I've been a lawyer now, or a student. Okay. So I'm a traditional student. I went straight through college and directly to law school, and I immediately started my own firm. Okay. So anything I've done before being a lawyer was just like an in-between job to get to where I wanted to go. So I've sold cars. I worked at factories. I've worked fast food briefly. I've even done the surveying at the mall, the people that everyone ignores that are asking you random questions. I've done all types of things in an effort to just sustain myself through school.
Okay. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Okay. Okay. So do you think, this is not on a note card, this is just off the top of my head, do you think you was a born lawyer? Do you think people can be born into their purpose?
I think people can be born into their purpose. I think this is all just a happy accident.
Okay.
So I wanted to go into politics, and I went to law school for that reason. And then when I was in law school, I determined that I didn't want to go into politics, but I was already in law school, and I didn't actually want to be a lawyer. It's a long story that we can get into if you want to, how I ended up doing it. But,
Absolutely.
Well,
this
so
will help people.
So what happened was I went to law school, obviously wanted to be going to politics, thought that was a good way to do it. Once I got there, I interned with in Congress, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this, but I already have all these student loans. I'm already in law school doing decently well. So at that time, I was just like, well, I'll finish law school and I'll figure it out. And so I didn't do any of the trial classes. I didn't do a whole lot of I didn't do the criminal defense clinic, which teaches you how to be a criminal defense lawyer. And so I thought I was going to do the mediation route and negotiate contract, things like that. So I did all of that stuff to avoid disputes. It's called alternative dispute resolution. Okay. Then I get out of law school, and I had a good friend who called me one day. She says, hey, I have a speeding ticket. Can you help? And I said, yeah, I'm a lawyer, but I just have the degree. I don't actually practice. So no, I can't help you. Yeah. And she's like, no, you're the only lawyer I trust. I'm going to pay you. And I'm like, ma'am, I don't trust myself with this. You really should find someone. I can give you a referral. And she literally sent me $150 on PayPal randomly. She was like, no, you're my lawyer now. You figured it out. So I called a friend. He told me how to do it. Easy peasy. I was like, wow, I just made $150 for doing not a ton of work. That's right. And so I was like, I'm a speeding ticket lawyer. So I just did strictly speeding tickets for maybe 6 to 9 months after that. And then the same friend calls me and she says, hey, I got a marijuana charge. I need you to represent me. And I said, look, although traffic is a criminal defense, I'm not actually a criminal defense lawyer. I'm really a traffic lawyer. Can't help you with that. Yeah. And she's like, no. You're the only lawyer I trust. I'm going to pay you. You're just going to take care of it. She just randomly sends me $500. I didn't ask for it. She just sent it to me. And she's like, hey, you're my lawyer. Go have fun. So I called a friend, asked him what I need to do with this little simple marijuana ticket. Ended up getting that dismissed. And I said, wait a minute, I actually like criminal defense. So I started, that's exactly how it was. And then I got on a court appointed list and started doing some public defense work and got a lot of experience. And then I realized I was actually pretty good at it. Then obviously things got more challenging, but I still enjoyed it, still doing well. So I credit a lot of my success to that friend. Ironically, a couple of years ago, she called me. She's like, hey, I need this divorce. And I was like, ma'am, you are not bullying me into doing this divorce for you. Under no circumstances will I do your divorce for you. And then she was like, well, I'm going to just send you money. You're going to do it. I was like, no.
She bullying you with the money.
I was like, now I can afford to give you a refund. So you are not going to just send me money.
Absolutely.
And so I ended up getting a referral. So I don't do family law. She didn't get to bully me that time, but
okay,
definitely the first instances I was bullied into it.
Now let me tell you, that was a great story. And what I noticed about you, just because I'm the type, I listen to people, and then while I'm listening, I dissect exactly what they're saying. So what I'm hearing is you don't mind helping out when it's in your purpose. Because do you believe if you can help somebody, you will? But if you help somebody that's outside your purpose, do you think that'll affect you in the long run, or might, derail them because that's not of what you're supposed to be doing?
Absolutely. So I know a couple friends who are lawyers, right? But they don't practice as well. And then every now and then I'll see them in criminal court, doing a favor for a friend. It's like, you're doing your friend a disservice. You're doing this all wrong. Come on, I'll talk to you about it. I'll fix this for you. But that's the way to do your friend a service. Absolutely. And give them a referral or maybe help them with the fee. But you walking into an area of law that you don't know puts your person at a disservice. They're almost better without a lawyer. Right. And to the first part of your question, one thing that I've realized that's taken me a long time to realize is that I've never regretted saying no to someone or something, right. But I regret saying yes more often than not. So if you don't want to do something, you really just shouldn't do it.
That's right. You know what that means? All money is not good money. That's what that means. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How important is mentorship to you? And did you have a mentor?
So when I first started practicing, I didn't have a mentor, but as time went on, I started getting mentors. I think mentorship is super important. That's one of the first things we said in the earlier question was, you definitely need a mentor. I mentor tons of people. Got a lot of mentees now. I've hired some of my mentees in various capacities, but everyone needs a mentor. I need as many as I can get still to this day. And I look forward to mentoring anybody who needs my help in a way that I can help them.
That's beautiful. So That means y'all get a mentor as quick as you possibly can. And I'm a big believer on that as well. I do believe it takes somebody that's in a higher level than you to show you the path. Yep, to show you the path. All right, let's go to the next one. What is the most money you made in a year? Now you don't got to answer you don't want to, but being a top lawyer, you know what I'm saying? for the upcoming lawyers, this the man right here. So if you don't want to answer, you ain't got to. Now,
I've done well enough to feed my family, and we've been doing great. So for that, I'm grateful.
That's a good enough answer for me. So if you want to take your life to the next level, make sure you got money to last you for generation after generation. Become a lawyer. Okay, let's go to the next one. Did you always know who you wanted to become? Which we went over that earlier because you said you was pretty much in tune with this purpose from a young age.
I didn't know who I wanted to become, but I knew who I didn't want to become. And so, I knew I didn't want to struggle in life. I knew that I didn't want to go down the wrong path and be in prison or jail or anything like that. So I knew I wanted to go to college, and I'm grateful I did that because I've learned a lot in college about not just in terms of academics, but just how the world works, and my network growing so much. So I knew those things, but not exactly who I wanted to be known.
That's powerful. That's powerful. So that's deep because that made me think, if you know who you don't want to become, that gives you more reason to focus on who you do want to become. So by us going over that, some people might look at life like, okay, what do I want to do? If they don't know what they want to do, they might need to look at what they don't want to do to give them the mirror effect of it. You know what I'm saying? That's beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Did it take you a long time to know your purpose?
Absolutely, yeah. Because, like I said, I wanted to go to law school to be a politician, and then I got to law school and changed my mind. And then all throughout law school, people were like, "Oh, what kind of lawyer are you going to be?" I'm like, no clue. Like, I might not be a lawyer, but I'm here. So it took me a while, and then even once I became a lawyer, I wasn't really practicing, and it took a friend to peer pressure me to bully me out of my comfort zone for me to get to where I am now.
Okay, that's beautiful. I'm glad you said that. Do you believe the people that operate the most successful people that operate highly, do you believe they always outside of their comfort zone?
I won't say always, but more often than not. And I think they don't have a fear of doing that at times. But also just, having people in your circle who aren't yes people or enablers. And so all of my friends will tell me when I'm wrong, and they'll tell me when this is a bad idea. They don't just say, "Oh yeah, you should go start this company in which you paint the sidewalk." Like they're like, "No, that's silly. Like, why would you do that?" They'll tell me what is a good idea based on what my actual skill set is or what my flaws are and things of that nature. So having friends who will help you and guide you when you're outside of your comfort zone and be honest with you is critical.
That's critical. That's a powerful word. That word critical, that means it's best to do it than not to do it. It's best to get it done. Do you think that people that don't operate outside of their comfort zone, that's stuck being complacent, do you think their life is stagnant and stuck?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. I read a quote a couple years ago that said something along the lines of the comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. And so, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you'll get the same result.
I've been saying that for so long. If you show me what you did last year and you didn't get nowhere within those 3 to 5 years after that last year, you still doing the exact same thing. Albert Einstein said that's insanity. And then insanity is a mental illness, right? So by us operating within the same year, day in and day out, and not changing nothing, you're going to get the same thing next year. So do you believe change is the root of becoming?
It can be. Now, if you like the results you're doing, then sure, don't change anything. But you have to be willing to adapt in any process, we're very introspective here, and we think about like everything that we're doing, and if we're doing it just because this is the way it's always been done, or if it really serves a purpose, or if there's a better way to do it. And everyone in my staff, I challenge all of them to criticize me at any time or tell me if they think that what we're doing is silly or doesn't have any real purpose or value to the client. Or so, and everybody does that here. And so I do appreciate that we have this culture of constructive feedback, that people feel comfortable telling their boss, I think what you've done is silly. We should be doing ABC instead of just going along with whatever I said just because I said so.
That's beautiful, Mr. Stowe. I love how you explained it. Let's go to the next one, because we can stay on that one all day long. Okay. What do you say to people who say, I'm too old to start?
So I get that actually a lot. People will say, I always wanted to go to law school. Well, you can go for it. And they'll say, well, I'm 55. And I'll say, well, law school 3 years. And well, I'm 50, I'll be 58. And it's like, well, you'll be 58 regardless in 3 years if you're alive. So either you'll be 58 with accomplish your dreams, or you'll be 58 when you're still wishing you'd done it. So you should just go ahead and do it. Because what you don't want, and this is for anybody, is like, you don't want to look back on life and think about all the things you could have done or should have done and wondered if you could have done it. So you should definitely do it and sign up today if you want to. Whatever it is you want to do, you should do it. Start today.
Live life with no regret. That's beautiful. Yep. Cause people that's actually, the graveyard is the richest place, because people will take what they want to do, what they knew they were born to do, and didn't do it because they either feared it, scared to start, was self-doubt, poverty mindset, all the above. And that's why the graveyard is the richest place on earth. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay. Where does your strength come from?
This sounds cliche, but failure, actually.
Failure.
Yeah. So, little known fact. So I failed the bar exam the first time I took it by 1 point. Okay. And at that time, I had never really failed anything. Like, whether I tried or not, I just didn't fail in school. And so that was the first time where I was just like, wow. And everybody's afraid of failure. A lot of people are. I was. Mm-hmm. But to me, that was like the worst possible outcome, is failing the bar exam. And it happened, and sun still goes up the next day, life still goes on. Mm-hmm. And that really took a lot of my fear away from, being successful or my limiting beliefs. So after that, it was like, yeah, I don't have a problem starting a law firm. Like, what's the worst that'll happen? Like, I don't do well. Like, it's fine, because I'll still have a law degree. Like, failing the bar exam was the catalyst of living life without fear of what might happen, because that was my worst nightmare, and it happened, and everything was fine. People were supportive. So had I passed the bar exam the first time, I probably would not have my own firm. I would have applied at somebody's firm, hopefully gotten a good job and stayed there, and because it would have been within my comfort zone. But failing the bar exam definitely pushed me into, let's start your own firm. Let's see what happens.
That's brilliant. Failure is the biggest teacher in life. I really believe it, because I done seen so many people say it over and over, and I use it in my life. For example, if I fail at something, I don't want to feel defeated, right? So that makes me push harder. And I don't know if you remember, Cuss. What's his name? Cuss. Yeah, Cuss. Mike Tyson coach. Mike Tyson said, I'm scared. I'm afraid. I'm afraid, Cuss. He said, use that as your strength. Use that as your fire. So that always stuck with me when he said that. Okay. Do you ever have a moment of self-doubt? If so, how do you get back in alignment with your true self?
I do. And really what it is most of the time I have self-doubt is really imposter syndrome. It's just like me thinking, I don't deserve this accolade, or I shouldn't be in this room that I am, or representing some of the clients that I've had, or things like that. And then I always have to think, why not me? I work as hard as anybody else, right. Sometimes harder. And so I do have to reflect a lot on that, or talk to other mentors and things like that, especially given that in America, only 4.4% of lawyers are Black. And where I am, it's significantly less than 4.4%.
Absolutely.
And so in any courtroom in America, if it's criminal court, you're more likely to see a Black person as a defendant than you will a judge or a lawyer or a clerk or anything else. And that's unfortunate. And so when you become the only Black criminal defense lawyer in a certain area, you get self-doubt a lot. And so I've had to do a lot of meditating and talking to mentors and gassing myself up to avoid some of that imposter syndrome.
That's beautiful. I love how you said you meditate. Do you believe that meditation is one of the most powerfulest gifts that we was blessed with?
It probably is, but I don't know enough in that realm to really to assert that. But I'm sure it is, because I mean, you can meditate for sleep, you can meditate for energy, you can meditate for self-doubt, really anything. And actually, I will go so far as to say it is one of the most powerful things, because meditation definitely does help with keeping a positive mindset, and everything does start with the mind, in which your thoughts become your actions and your words and things of that nature. So it probably really is. There's more techniques of meditation that I should learn, that I'm saying this out loud and thinking through it.
Man, I tell you, I meditated. How long we been meditating? I'm talking to y'all. I'm talking to my wife. She's actually holding the camera. So if you see me, I'm not asking you. I'm asking the woman behind the camera. But we've been meditating for probably about 2 years now? Okay. Anyways, long story short, meditation will heal you. I'm a walking testimony. I done had back problems for a while, because we all know I drive trucks and I'm a life coach. So driving a truck will give some people back problems, but let me tell you, the cure to that is meditation. Meditation will cure your mind, your heart, body, and soul. Anything that need to be healed, it will cure it. I promise you. Walking testimony. Do you set intention before winning the day?
Absolutely. So I get up every morning slightly before 5 a.m. I'm in the 5 a.m. club. Really good book by Sharma, if you haven't read it. And so part of that daily walk is setting your intentions for the day and what you want to accomplish, and own your morning, own your day. So absolutely.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. How do you prepare your mind before walking out the door?
So for me, I've been up since 4:35 o'clock. So I'm already prepared. I've worked out. I've thought about what I need to do that day. I've reflected. I've spent some time learning Duolingo, things of that nature. So before I walk out of the door, I'm already prepared. My energy is where it needs to be. Along with that, I don't change locations when my energy is not something that I want to give the world. And so if I've had a bad day or something of that nature, I don't go in my house with that energy that any kind of negative energy. I always try to make sure that when I go somewhere new, that my energy is something that I can be proud of. And so when I walk out of the door every day, I'm in a good headspace, or I'm just not leaving. So
that's brilliant. I love it. I love it. Because do you believe if people having a bad day at work, they can bring that same energy home and disperse it around the family, and then that causes them to have a bad day, bad week, bad month?
Definitely. I've got a 2-year-old, and she'll never be able to say, my dad was so stressed about work that he neglected me or he yelled at me, because like I said, I keep my energy. I checked it at the door. So I definitely do think that. And then here at our firm, everyone who's ever worked for me, they can tell you that I say that the thing that I say is, if your head and your feet aren't at the same place, then you need to go make peace with whatever it is. And so if you tell me that, you're going through a bad breakup and you're thinking about your ex-girlfriend and you're here in this office, I'm going to tell you should go home, because the mistakes that people make when they're focused on something else, it's not worth it. It's not. I know we're in a capitalist society, but for me, I'd rather you go deal with your personal issues than mess up someone's life at our office, or before you bring bad energy to one of your coworkers. And so if your head and your feet are not at the same place, then I'm okay with you taking a day off, half day, whatever you got to do to get realigned with whatever your purpose is, to focus.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Because they can be affecting your business.
Well, so it's not even about affecting the business. It's really about affecting the client. And because I'm okay if we lose money, if we make mistakes, things like that, but I'm not okay if we ruin someone's life, or if we have, a client who's paid us good money to help them, or even if we represented them pro bono without charging, we can't negatively impact people when it can be avoided.
That's powerful. That's powerful. So that goes to say, check your energy, because energy is very contagious. Energy can be spreaded. And also on the positive side, so we can take positive energy and show so much love to other people to where they could be having a bad day. Now they day turn bright just by off our energy that we gave to them. I love it. I love the way you think, Mr. Stowe. Okay. What type of books would you recommend that helped you change your life?
5 a.m. Club, 48 Laws of Power, The Alchemist, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And if you are going to go into business and entrepreneurship, you should definitely read The E-Myth.
The E-Myth. Okay. I'm going to have all those in the description for y'all. And I'm going to pick up some myself. Absolutely. Okay. Do you set goals or have a vision board?
I do set goals. I usually only do a vision board right around the new year. I do set goals though. I set goals a lot.
Okay.
I have weekly goals, daily goals, monthly, annually, but I've got all the goals.
Okay. For the ones that don't set goals, do you think they hinder in their life by not setting them?
Definitely. I mean, you can't reach a milestone if you didn't set it. And one of the things we say here is that we can't manage what we don't measure. So we have to track a lot of things in order to set realistic goals, in order to reach those goals. And you got to write it down, make it plain, and so that you can actually do it. And or even if you just make a mental goal that, oh, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 2 months. Sure, that's great and all, but if you don't like write it down or go back to it, or you're going to forget that was your goal, or you're not going to do the work that comes to meeting that goal. So you definitely have to write it down somewhere, whether that's a note on your phone, a journal, a book, sticky note, vision board, on your mirror. You got to write it down somewhere.
That means it's a must. Let's get them goals written out. Let's stay consistent with completing them, and let's stay focused and have intention on getting the next day accomplished. I love it. When you first started your business, what was the disruptions that you had? Because with intentions there's disruption. So if you got something that you starting great, it's also going to be disruption that follows. What did you have to overcome?
Great question. So a couple things. So one of them was just trying to make sure that people believed that it was a legitimate business. When you start a business, people are like, well, I've been going to Johnny Bravo, attorney at law, forever. It's like, that's great. I don't want to ruin that relationship or anything like that. But we're just as good as Johnny Bravo. We just, maybe we don't have a beautiful office, or maybe I don't have the user experience, but perhaps we are, or maybe the client experience is different. So that was something, one thing. The other thing along those same lines is that I expected to get a lot more support from my community than I actually did. However, I did end up getting all that support, and maybe I just didn't earn it at the time. But there's sometimes mindsets in certain communities that people believe that the ice is colder at different restaurants than the ones that you have. And so overcoming that, and then as a personal thing that I had to overcome was just like money management. So when my family didn't teach me enough about financial savviness and having a good financial IQ. And so I had to learn all those things on the back end. And more money does not necessarily mean like more wealth, or you can't make more money out of bad budgeting, or you can't fix that. And so if you make a lot of money, but you don't know how to manage it, then you're still in a bad position. So having to learn that was difficult. And then getting into different tax brackets creates other different problems that I never dreamed of having. And so having to really shift my mindset as to those things as well. So,
okay. That's brilliant. Do you think cash flow is the main moving part of having a successful business and staying in business after the failure of, they say after 2 years, a lot of newcome businesses fail. So is that because they don't understand cash flow, or do you think it's because they don't understand their business?
Could be both. I mean, cash flow is king. Cash is king. So, I mean, if you have a positive cash flow coming in, you'll probably be okay. But some of the things that we make mistakes on is we got into different contracts that really put a dent in our cash flow. So we were paying people that we shouldn't be paying for 12 months. So some of the companies that we would get into, let's say marketers or SEO companies, they would say, SEO is search engine optimization. So they would say, oh, we'll promise you first page on Google after 4 months. And so you sign this year-long contract, and then after 4 months, you're no better or even worse than you were, or things like that will dent your cash flow when you're like trying to get out of these contracts and things of that nature. And so that's just not necessarily not understanding my business, but not understanding that I have to learn marketing, which is something that if you pick up the E-Myth book, that'll teach you that, again, just because you're not good at the thing that your company, that's because you are good at the thing that your company offers. You have to learn so much other things. So, if you're a restaurant owner, just because you cook, you now need to learn inventory, or you need to learn what temperature to keep, that things are safe keeping for long periods of time, or when to order things, and how often you have to replace napkins and forks and all those things that you may not have thought of because you're a good chef. And so learning the ins and outs of all the other things that are not necessarily about the business was challenging, because again, and now that I have multiple employees, I've had to learn HR and, again, marketing and accounting, things that I did not go to school for, things that I didn't necessarily want to do or learn, but now I'm the IT person here, and HR and a bunch of other hats.
So you wear many hats. Wear many hats. You got to wear many hats in life if you want to step up to that next level. I got one more question for you, Mr. Stowe, and then I'm gonna let you get back to your life. Okay. Do you believe people that stop building what they was building, do you believe they can come back and start where they left off and still be successful?
Yeah, definitely. Depending on how long that break was, they may need to do some things differently and relearn what the industry is and how it's going. But definitely, if God forbid this ever happens, but if I got suspended from the North Carolina bar, they said you can no longer be a lawyer, and they said, hey, you can come back in 10 years. I think in 10 years I could be successful again. I mean, I built the firm, built the products and everything, so I know I know how the ins and out of it. And I can do it again. Now, I may need to learn some things about what the market is now looking for and things of that nature. But overall, yeah, I think anyone can take any length of time and breaks and be okay at the end of the day.
Okay.
All they're willing to put in the work. And really important here, they can't go in with the mindset they had before, because they might have been the king at this product or service, but now they're not. They're a newcomer, so they can't be like, oh, I'm the greatest at this. It's like, well, you have to have that rookie mindset and be hungry again if you want to get back to that. And I don't think you can be just as presumptuous to think that just because at one point you were really, really great at this means you will now. I think you'll get there, but you can't just come in with that mindset.
That's beautiful. That's perfect. One more question. For the people with a poverty mindset, what would be the 3 things that you would help them change? Like right away, what would you say? Like, need to change 1, 2, 3 ASAP.
Wow, that's a great question. Well, first, how would you define a poverty mindset?
Well, self-doubt, procrastination, no confidence, no faith, right? Don't believe in themselves, which that's part of self-doubt. Undecided, no clarity, and the list goes on. Like it's so much to a poverty mindset. Stuck doing the same thing day in and day out.
Okay. So I think you attack. I'm glad I've asked how you define it. So I think you attack each of those differently. So like procrastination, really procrastination is just arrogance coded in a lot of times. So really people procrastinate because they are so arrogant to think that God will give them time to do something that they should tomorrow that they could have done today. And so that's kind of, when you think about it in that terms, like you believe you have more time, but you might not. So a lot of times that's what procrastination is. Or on the alternative, it could be people who procrastinate could be perfectionists, and like they delay starting because they want this thing to be perfect. And because they don't know if it can be perfect, they keep delaying it. But the thing with that, though, is done is better than perfect. So I would rather have finished something and it be 80% perfect than never doing it all and it's 0% perfect. In terms of just kind of staying stagnant, one thing that I tell my family members or people that I know is that whenever they're like, I need to go apply for another job or a better job, I always think, well, if you don't, you're kind of taking money away from your kids. Because so it's up to you if you want to go get a better paying job or not, because ultimately people rely on you. And so when you think about it in terms of what am I giving up by not doing this, it's generally going to be worth leaving your comfort zone. But some of the what I kind of consider to be a poverty mindset isn't really that person. It's really just how they were raised and what the environment that they grew up in. So you got to do some healing on that and just think through it. Because I mean, I probably had a poverty mindset in terms of just the way that I think about money and finances, things like that, or did at one point.
And since you said that, it hit me like 2 days ago. A lot of us as Black people, we grew up in so much poverty around us, it became second nature. Like, this is what we know. So we got to learn something different to build something different. We don't never learn nothing different. What you seen grandma and grandpa and mom and daddy do, 9 times out of 10, this is what it's going to be if you do not change what you was taught. Do you believe it?
Definitely. And it might even be that it's just that you marry someone who grew up in a different mindset and they've trained in you and you've broken a generational curse that way. So it may not even just really be learning in terms of going to school. It could be any old thing that may happen. Then one day it'll click.
You know what? That's beautiful. How can people find you?
You can find us on at Stowe Law Firm on all social media.
Okay. Stowe Law Firm. Stowe Law Firm. This is the point that we got to get into, y'all. We got to be able to sit down at a table and talk to each other and believe in one another so heavily that we don't mind spending time to have a conversation. This is powerful. Thank you, Mr. Stowe. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to have every book he mentioned in the description. I'm going to have his contact information in the description where you can, if you need his services, this is the best man to come to. Trust me. Please trust me. I'm not going to have nobody on this channel that's not going to help you. Okay. So until next time, I'm going to see you on the next video. Okay. Peace.
Bye.